Welcome to Casual Wednesdays. This is the show for Fish Tuxedo where we talk about games we've been playing, if in fact we have been playing any, and the news. I am Jonathan Downin. You are Mike Feyrer.
Absolutely.
And together we form Fish Tuxedo.
The world famous, illustrious, the well-dressed, well-hung, and well-versed in the arts of video... I'm sorry?
Discuss that part.
Oh, well, sorry, it's my own hubris. I can't, I can't let it go. But yeah, we are Fish Tuxedo, whether or not you feel we are hung or not. We're good at video games.
We at least play them, and we did play them this week.
Surprise.
You started off, man. What have you been playing?
I'll kick it right off with, I have been playing a game that I've been excited to play for 2 years. Wasteland 2. You may have heard me talk about it.
You've been talking about them CRPGs for a while now.
Oh yeah, I am a big fan, and I finally got the opportunity to play Wasteland 2 after kickstarting it 2 years ago, and I have to say, I am so impressed. I'm so happy with how it turned out. I can't believe it. I mean, I can believe it, but I guess there's just all the negativity surrounding Kickstarter. I wasn't sure what to expect. And I'm so glad I hadn't tried to play it before, you know.
It was in, like, beta or something for backers?
It was in early access after it got kickstarted. At least for the past, like, year, it's been in early access. So for about half the time it's been in development, like, publicly, it's been in early access. And it's been in, like, a beta and alpha form. And people have been saying, like, hey, it's a good game, you should try it out. And I was like, I could try it out because I do own this. But I will wait, and I think we've talked about it before. I just want to wait for these types of games until it's done, and I am thankful that I did because this game is great. And you know, I'll just
real quick for people who don't know, this is like classic Baldur's Gate style computer RPG, like isometric overhead. You're clicking around on stuff.
And just for like, I guess you know, on that vein, just a quick history lesson, I guess. Wasteland 2 is Wasteland 1 is a very old computer game, made by basically the same team that made Wasteland 2. But after Wasteland 1, they continued on and formed another studio to make Fallout 1, and also made Fallout 2.
Maybe you've heard of it.
Yeah, I don't know. You may have heard of this Fallout franchise. I personally think it has turned into a pile of garbage, but there are other people on the internet who might tell you otherwise.
So wrong, man. What is your problem?
No, they're good games, but they are not as good as these types of games, in my opinion. And I'm so happy that they're being brought back in such a huge way. To relate this to Divinity Original Sin a month or two ago. I didn't play as much of that as I would have liked, but it is really good. That game is really good. And one thing that Wasteland 2 has over that game by leaps and bounds is that it is just really well written, and I want to read all the dialogue, and I am not the type of person who's like, I just want to sit here and see what this guy has to say. I want to hear it sometimes, but I'm not the type of guy who's like, I just want to read all of this. And these characters have a lot to say, and not a lot of it is spoken to you. And I find myself reading all of it. It is really well done. The characters are interesting, even the ones that don't really have an impact on your story, and almost every character has some kind of unique dialogue. It's so interesting to me that it has had that effect, because that is not what I expected. But that's really cool. Plus, it has the battle system is very similar to XCOM as opposed to Divinity, where it is very magic based. And you know, there's a lot of elemental stuff where if you throw fire at poison, the poison will explode, or, you know, you shock electric at water, the water will electrocute you. That's Divinity. And a lot of the things I've heard is that people are a little disappointed that it's not as dynamic in Wasteland 2, but it is very classic, like Fallout 2 and Wasteland 1 kind of thing, where you have a dude or a couple dudes or ladies, and, you know, you either have a gun or you have, like, a baseball bat. So, you know, it's very XCOM. And if you like XCOM without the jetpacks and stuff, then this is totally right there. It's really good. It's exactly what I wanted, and I'm thrilled that it's finally available. And I've played between 8 and 10 hours so far. and I'm really enjoying it. But I have to say, the character creation is so daunting. It is just a list of stats. It's an unbelievably long character sheet, and I'm just like, ugh. And I didn't use any custom characters. I made a huge mistake on my first character, and now I just have to deal with it because I'm 10 hours in and I don't want to start over. Even though I'm sure I will later, I'll start over again. But yeah.
Yeah, that's real classic, man. Yeah. They're sticking to it because I remember that a ton playing like old classic RPGs, like rolling characters, and then 6 hours in, you're like, oh.
Yeah,
I didn't know. I didn't know.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I shouldn't have given him hand-to-hand combat. Why did I do that? Also, I didn't realize that toaster repairing was going to be such a useful skill.
Yeah.
No, it's cool, very cool. But yeah,
but that game's what, $50? It's the full.
Yeah, I think it is. It's either 40 or 50. It is a full-priced game, a full-priced PC game. And I did not. I mean, I didn't pay that price. When I bought it, it was probably about half that, maybe like between $20 and $30 I paid for it, because it was in the Kickstarter. So I got a great deal, and whether or not this is a good price for somebody who wants to play this game, I don't know. It does seem a little steep for an old school style game, but if that's what you're looking for, then it's worth the price of admission alone. For example, I paid $60 for Destiny, and that game's a pile of shit. So
yeah, man, we're not going to talk about Destiny so much this week, but I do think it's interesting that, like, you mentioned it, Divinity: Original Sin. Mm-hmm. I remember reading a couple weeks ago about the sales figures on that, and it did super well.
Oh yeah.
So either the fan base, the people who grew up with that stuff, there's still enough of them out there that still want to play that type of game. Or I can't imagine new people are trying this stuff, but maybe they are.
You know, I think what it comes down to be honest, is that these games just haven't been around for so long. Like, or people are afraid to make them. You know, just like people aren't making RTSs like they used to. But as soon as a good one comes out, it will sell like gangbusters, just because they haven't seen one in a while. And it's that's the way I feel about these CRPGs coming out. Is we hadn't seen one for a pretty long time, at least one of any like value that wasn't like a kind of like a Diablo.
Full high production value sort of.
And you know what?
Game,
to its credit, Divinity: Original Sin is a technically better game in almost every sense. Like when compared to Wasteland. Excuse me, but it's Wasteland 2 is just a kind of a different beast, and I think that what it comes down to is that these games haven't been around for a while, and there was a couple people, like, you know, a couple guys playing games on YouTube or whatever, and they're like, holy shit, this game exists, and I've been waiting for another one of these. So they check it out, and it's just like, you know, thrown in the air, everybody's talking about it, and then all these old school gamers are saying, you know, I can't believe it, this game is incredible, spreading, I mean, and it's not like this game has commercials, it doesn't have a Destiny budget for marketing, but it is like, it has the word of mouth that is kind of difficult to get these days because it's so I mean, it's weird that it's so unique, but it is. So, and that's helped it, and I hope it helps Wasteland 2. I mean, it was on top of the charts the day it came out.
I'm sure it's going to do well.
Yeah, I'm just, it's a great game. So far it is great, and I'm just really happy that that it turned out that way.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that it turned out well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty much what I've been playing. And
cool, man. That sounds good.
Yeah, it's good.
So here is what I've been playing. A little game, maybe you've heard of it. Pretty big release. It is called Grand Theft Auto San Andreas for iOS.
You really threw me off there, man.
Yeah,
oh, God.
Did it again. Back to it in a pretty big way. I actually put in like 6 or 8 hours in the past week into that game.
That's how you know Destiny sucks.
Yeah, so still loving it. Anyway, but really, I really did put like 8 more hours into that. But of course, the big one is Shadow of Mordor. Man, that game seems to be just trucking along, like destroying everything it touches. Like everyone is just losing their minds. Except for Destructoid. Like, Destructoid gave it like a 6 out of 10.
Gave it a 6, yeah.
But everyone else, it's like 9s and 10s and like 5 stars. And Man, I can kind of see why. I jumped on as soon as it hit last night. I just turned on the PS4. I had it pre-downloaded and everything ready to go, and jumped in there immediately and just streamed it from minute one. That was kind of a fun thing to do. And by the way, you might see a little bit more of that on Fish Tuxedo coming soon.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, just a little teaser there. But yeah, Shadow of Mordor, man, it seems pretty amazing. It's like Assassin's Creed, except it's a little bit more action-y. Like, the action is straight-up Batman-style combat. If you like that stuff, it's real good here, too, in a way that I don't think any other game has really executed it other than the Batman stuff. Excuse me. Like, the Batman stuff, it's been around for, like, 5 years now, and a lot of games have tried to copy that, just that button-to-button, minute-to-minute combat stuff. But I don't feel like anyone's really quite pulled it off until this. This feels real good, and that's awesome. It has the traversal of Assassin's Creed. I mean, you're climbing stuff, you're jumping around. You can jump off buildings and not die. You don't have to hit haystacks. You can just jump off, which is good. And there's just like, one of the first things that hit me when I jumped into that game was, there are so many systems in it. Like, we talked about the Nemesis system like a billion times at this point, where you like kill dudes and like they thin out the ranks and they kill you and they get stronger and stuff. And I'm still just kind of getting a sense for that stuff. But on top of that, there's an upgrade system with your classic upgrade trees that's powered by like XP and stuff like that. You can put runes into your weapons and like alter their powers and effects. And you have 4 different types of weapons. I think it's like, or 3. It's dagger, bow, and sword. It has like some Far Cry stuff in there. I mean, Assassin's Creed 2, where you're like, once you conquer a tower, you reveal some of the landscape and all the stuff you can do in that area. I mean, it just takes all these different disparate aspects from all these different open world games from different publishers. And brings it together in like a weird package that it all works, and it's a Lord of the Rings game.
Yeah, and you know, it's so strange that like, what's the who's the developer of this game?
Monolith.
Okay.
Which the Fear guys, and if you want to go way back, No One Lives Forever, and like all that stuff.
And WB, can we just talk about that for a second? WB, I mean, they are also making the they also made Arkham, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So they're just they are basically setting the bar so unbelievably high for these licensed games, and you know, just who would have thought? You know, and I said this earlier. This is the one game that I was the least interested in. You know, I was so uninterested. And now it's the only game that I want to play. It looks I mean, and I have not played it yet. I will be playing it by the end of the week, but who would have thought that this would be the one?
It's a real crazy weird thing, and I'm only 2 hours in myself. I mean, I've watched a lot of coverage of the stuff and read a lot of the reviews, and it doesn't seem like I'm in for any unpleasant surprises.
Yeah.
But it's just real strange, especially when you think about, there's just so many parallels to Assassin's Creed here. The Assassin's Creed games, I like them, and to be fair, those worlds in Assassin's Creed are quite a bit bigger. That's one of the first things I kind of noticed when I jumped into Shadow of Mordor, because I knew it was an open world thing. And when I first got in there, I was like, oh man, this is going to be great. This is going to be like this huge world. It doesn't seem like it's that huge. But that shouldn't be a problem. There's still going to be plenty to do, it seems. But other than having a pared down world size, it seems like they've not only nailed everything that Assassin's Creed is doing now after, who knows, 7, 8 iterations in like 6 years or whatever it's been, but they're doing some stuff that's way more interesting and even better than that series is doing. So.
It's to your point about having the smaller world. I think that this is a great example of you know, Assassin's Creed takes style over substance every time. You know, the games are they consistently look good, and the animations are very nice, and the worlds are gigantic and beautiful and well architectured. But with Shadow of Mordor, the world is not very small, but significantly smaller than those other open world games. But the breadth of things that you're able to do, and the systems that are driving this game that make it so interesting and different, are just so unique. And it just goes to show. I mean, look at those reviews. I mean, they don't lie. Everybody is so impressed that this actually works, with the exception of Destructoid.
Right.
I still can't believe it works, and I can't wait to play it to see it firsthand. But this is what I was excited about when the new consoles came out, because the games look good, but by comparison, generation to generation, it's not the biggest leap ever. It's not that big of a leap. But I'm excited to see this kind of this manpower put behind systems, and it's so cool. And I've heard so many unique stories already. And the game's only been out a few days or a day or two, and just all that stuff coming out of this oddly systems-driven game. And
and I think it almost even plays off of the Dark Souls stuff just a tiny bit. In that, Batman is kind of like this too, but you cannot just roll into a fight and expect to come out without trying too hard.
Yeah.
You are going to get destroyed if there are more than 4 dudes around, and even if there's just 1 or 2, you got to pay attention. Otherwise, you're going to have a rough time.
Yeah.
And with the Nemesis system, there's different tiers of enemies, and some are... I was just blown away. You get intel on the higher ranking dudes, and some of them have very specific things that they can only be hurt by very specific things like explosions, or if you're in stealth, or aerial attacks, and anything else, you can't even hurt them. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of strategy that that goes into a lot of this stuff. It's cool, man. It's really seems cool.
Oh, I can't wait to play it. It looks so awesome.
Yeah. So that's what I've been playing. I'm going to be putting a lot more time into that soon. So.
Hell yeah.
So, I guess we should talk about news.
Yeah, there's some.
Yeah, there's some. Here's my favorite one. We'll start with it. I mean, start with a showstopper here. Visceral going out on a limb here. They are assuring us that Battlefield Hardline will function upon release. Yeah. Man, how about that?
And that is a quote, too. I mean, it's just what, yes, it's going to work, I think is...
It will work.
Yes, it will work.
Yes.
Just, that's where we are. That's video games now.
Man.
When Visceral has to come out and do the cleanup, the cleanup for DICE, I don't mean a disrespect to Visceral, but DICE used to be a very well-respected studio that everybody was like, holy shit, look at all the things that DICE can do. Look at how beautiful the games they make are. Look at how huge these maps are. Look how, all the players they can fit on the same screen. Look how bad this game is.
I mean, looking back, it's just mind-boggling to see the damage that can be done with one release. Battlefield 4 was such a debacle for them.
Yeah.
And it hurt them real bad to the point where they have to come out and say this sort of stuff, and that we still don't believe them.
You're exactly right.
So, I mean, I'm not going to be buying that anyway, unless by some world universe absorbing mishap, this game is actually good.
It is.
I mean, it'll probably be good.
I would imagine.
It'll probably be fine. Yeah. I mean, whatever.
I hope it's good. At the very least, I hope it's good, because I used to like Battlefield games, and I did play a bit of Battlefield 4, and it worked fine for me, but that's not the general consensus, and it's a shame that this is happening. I'm just still upset that Visceral is not making a current gen Dead Space. Yeah. That's all I want, really. So. Video games. They love to beat them to the ground. On to better news. I'm not sure how many people care about this. This is I feel like this is a really niche thing. Maybe it's not as much as I think, but Dreamfall Chapters. Mm. This is the latest sequel in a line of adventure games. The last one, Dreamfall, came out a while ago because it came out for the original Xbox and PC.
and then The Longest Journey, which was the first entry, came out in like 99. So this is a pretty long-running series, but also kind of never that big, just kind of like a small, fervent fan base. But this was a Kickstarter game, and the first episode of 5 is coming out on October 21st. And that's cool because I like those games. And I actually went back and played The Longest Journey again, just like last year.
On iPad?
So no, it is not on iPad.
Oh, it's not? I thought it was for whatever.
It's not. It's not. They did announce it at one point for iPad, but it has not yet come out.
Yeah, I've never touched that. I've never touched the series. I'm not a huge adventure game guy, but
if you're not, you probably shouldn't check it out. This new one seems to have some cool stuff going on, like modernized in some kind of cool ways. It might be worth checking out, but yeah, we'll see on that one. You have down here Kickstarter.
Yeah.
I forget now why that's on this list.
Well, I mean, I wrote it. I put it on the list. It wasn't actually Kickstarter, but I think it rolls right into that whole idea of early access games with Doublefine basically shutting down Spacebase.
Yeah.
They're like, we're going to finish this game to the best of our ability and give it to you, but that's all you're going to get. We're not going to give you exactly what you thought you were going to get. And the problem is, the problem is that this is not a Kickstarter, in my opinion, because when you put money down for a Kickstarter, you are owed nothing. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. When a project goes under and they made $10 billion and you put in $20 to $10,000, unless you didn't get the T-shirt that they said they were going to send you, if they don't give you the actual product that they were supposed to make, then they don't owe you anything. As long as you got your backer rewards or whatever, because you are not paying for a product, you're paying for the promise of a product. Because the whole point of Kickstarter is that these guys can't do it on their own. So if everybody who's on Kickstarter has to make a product, then there's nobody on Kickstarter. And that's just, it sucks that some people aren't getting what they want. But with this particularly, this was early access, and they were Tim Schafer released a statement kind of alluding to that he wanted it to be he wanted to follow in the footsteps of these other games that have done the early access model, which I'm assuming he's referring to things like DayZ and Rust and Minecraft, which is obviously the big one.
So he's saying he wishes it was a huge success.
Yes.
Weird.
Which is funny for a game that has never come out. So, and that's kind of what and the same thing, I guess early access should be treated the same as Kickstarter. I'm sure it's very, very plainly written that this game might never come out. And I think that's fair. And like I bought Rust. I played Rust for a while, and that game might never get made officially, but I already paid for it. And it's the same with Spacebase. It's just a bummer that they're like, well, not enough people are continuing to buy this game that was never made, so we can't keep making it.
And the thing is, I think they handled the messaging real weird, because they announce at the same time that they're going to cease development, that they are going to be putting out a final version. It just makes it feel like they're like skimping on it.
Yeah.
Like they're like, well, we got to finish it, so we're just going to do like the least possible. Well, maybe not the least, but we're going to do what we can. That might not have been what 1.0 was going to be before, but now it's what it has to be. So actually what was going to be 0.6 is now 1.0. Enjoy.
Exactly. And, this is another thing that kind of rubs me the wrong way, is that this is not the first time that Double Fine has mismanaged money.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it's not even the second time. This is, it's happened time and time again. The complaints about Brutal Legend being just poorly managed, with Broken Age being split up into 2 parts, and that is apparently not well enough funded for even the second part. And now with this, it's just, what is happening there? And then to have Tim Schafer basically come out and say, look, these programmers are expensive. We live in California. It's like, okay, but that doesn't give me any, you saying that it costs $100,000 a year to hire a programmer doesn't make me, or $120,000 a year to hire a programmer. I think he said somewhere in the ballpark of $10,000 a month. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I never want to give you money again. I literally never want to give you money again unless you have a game already finished. Because then move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look, if this is such a problem, then move. Because when you need to go to a conference, you can fly there. And that's going to save you That's gonna save you like $60,000 a year. And I'm not saying that those guys don't deserve $120,000 a year, because you know, in the ideal world, everybody deserves $120,000 a year or more.
Sure.
But the problem is that it doesn't have to be that way, and you are putting yourself in that position, and you are losing money, and you are breaking promises. You know, that's the part that rubs me the wrong way.
I mean, Doublefine, as you said, Doublefine is not doing well with how they're handling this stuff. They have another Kickstarted game in the works right now, Massive Chalice, on the way. We'll see how that comes together. But then they seem... I hope this is a trend going forward, but they have, like, Costume Quest 2 coming and stuff. And that seems to be them, like, going back and going more traditional. Yeah. So hopefully, like, they're just getting this stuff through the pipeline, that they tried this crowdfunding thing that they now know they can't make work for them. So they are going back to a more traditional model.
It's a shame that...
But yeah, something's got to change over there, man.
And it's a shame that they, I mean, especially with Broken Age, that they just couldn't scrounge up enough cash to, you know, to make that product happen quick enough. But it just, you know, the whole money thing bothers me. The fact that we have to write down what the salaries of these people are just to explain to me that you ran out of money. I don't like that. And, on top of that, it is just the fact that I think that a lot of people have given Doublefine and Tim Schafer in particular a pass because they're so open and they're so forward, and I really appreciate that.
I want to love Tim Schafer too.
I have a lot of respect for that.
I want to love,
and you're putting a lot on the line by just letting it all out there, but that doesn't excuse the things that you do wrong. And I think that that's what he expected, was like, well, here's why. But like, okay, how many times do you say here's why before I'm like, well, then stop and get it right? You know, like, how do we stop that from happening again? But that's what I wanted to get at with the Kickstarter note. But it's a bummer. It's a bummer. I hope these guys figure it out because they're talented people, and I hope they make $1 million a year next year. But just not on my dime, you know, on somebody else's. But yeah, there you go. Yep.
And that's it for the news. Ending on a little bit of a sour note there. But we do have some good news. Things will be changing just a bit around here. Some new, fresh stuff coming at you, different kinds of content. That does mean that features will be slowing down just a bit, but we're going to be getting some gameplay up in here. We're going to be getting some co-op stuff. We're going to be getting some new releases. We're going to be trying some stuff, and by all means, let us know what you think. I think it's going to be cool. We're pretty excited.
I think it'll be fun. I'm excited to get down in the trenches of video games and play them for once.
Yeah, we probably should play them.
Right? Yeah, it'll be good. Yeah. And it'll be a good way for people to know just how big of a jerk we are. Because it won't all just be curated talking nonsense. It'll be... Yeah,
we can't just redo the VO every time.
Yeah, exactly. There's no repeats. I'm excited. That'll be awesome. Like, Let's Plays and co-op Let's Plays and looking at video games.
Some stuff.
And maybe even in the future, some reviews that aren't really reviews.
Could be.
Not reviews.
Never know. Yeah. So that's it for this week. I think we're both going to go play some Shadow of Mordor.
Oh, absolutely.
For the next week here. So it's going to be good stuff. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, hit a button down there. Doesn't really matter which one. They all do the same thing. Just type.
Not the one with the thumbs down, though.
Well, I don't know. I think the way the algorithm works, like, it still bumps us up in some list somewhere.
Well, hit it.
So
hit it.
Just hit something down
there. Hit that
there.
one and then hit the one next to it.
Yeah, just hit them all. Just hit everything, and then tell your friends to hit them all.
But don't hit your friends.
Yeah, right. And then we'll be good. All right, man. Good talking to you. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next week.
See ya.